I mean, I think that I'm a one-woman show. It tends to be it. And, just I also, I have a lot of ideas. And I get excited and passionate about a lot of different ideas. So really trying to focus myself has been probably a big challenge because I know I could do all of these things, but, really trying to focus.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, Interaction Media, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Folks, we're visiting today with Terran Quinlan. She's the founder of Curated Wonder by Terran, or Curated Wonder. Terran, thanks for being here in the studio with us to be on the podcast today.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I'm excited about your company and what you've been doing here in West Virginia. I want to, just again, thank you for being here. Tell us a little bit about Curated Wonder and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So you can see a little bit here of things that I do, but Curated Wonder is really a variety of different experience and travel activity kits, and it's really a tool for others to get out and explore and see different parts of the state. I've started with Explore West Virginia kits, so different activities and things to do around West Virginia.
Yeah, I love that. How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah. So it started kind of during COVID.
Yeah.
My family and I ended up taking a staycation around West Virginia. We were actually supposed to travel abroad and had the kids their first passports to go, and that didn't happen.
So my husband, right?
husband said, "Let's take a staycation." And I kind of looked at him. I'm not from here. I didn't go to school here, and I thought, is there really enough to do for 10 days? In our time here? And I dove into research, and I was like, man, there is so much to do. I couldn't even find a way to do a 10-day trip and fit it all in. But we embarked on a trip, and I had the kids, I did daily surprises where I had them open up a card that would say, hey, here's the history of the pepperoni roll, and here's some different places that offer it, and we're going to go down, here's some cash, and go buy some pepperoni rolls. We're going to have a taste test challenge. And then we're going to go on to Parkersburg, and here's some history on the Blenner Hassets. And while we're doing that, mark off the counties we're going to and color in the, state bird of the cardinal. And then the next morning, it was open up a new card. Now learn about the Mothman. And we kind of moved our way around the state.
That's really cool.
And so people started following along and had said, where are you going next? Where are you going next? And at the end, a variety of people reached out to me on social media and said, can you share your itinerary? I was like, sure. Here's my PowerPoints and here's my Excel documents. Hey, make sure you have cash here. Make sure you print off your maps before here. And then I went back to, my day job and things like that. But I realized, maybe there's something here that I could create tools for other people. And so really, how do I, use kind of my skills and my interest level to provide that to others.
So you mentioned you're not from West Virginia. Where are you originally from?
So I'm from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I have to definitely explain that when I'm here. It's in central PA, about an hour north of Harrisburg, but small town, 5,000 people, home of Bucknell University. But
awesome.
That's about all that's there.
What brought you to West Virginia in the first place then?
So a guy, my now husband, here in Morgantown. But I was living in Baltimore, and we were long distance for a little bit, and then I moved out here in 2016.
Amazing. Now, he's from West Virginia, St. Albans area.
Yep.
And now you guys live in Morgantown. Talk a little bit about your background, like your education. Something had to prepare you for this entrepreneurial journey that you're on now.
Yeah. So where I went to school was Virginia Tech. So that's not always welcome here.
Hey, but we're okay with that.
But I do embrace the blue and gold.
That's right.
When I'm here and have season tickets and all of that. I went to Virginia Tech, and then I had my first job out of college was event planning, actually. Which some of this, I guess, ties into that.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it at the time. And then I went to work for Under Armour. I was there for 18 years and did all kinds of things, working on new initiatives, leading go-to-market, leading global expansion teams around the world, launching footwear for the first time.
Amazing.
And then kind of brought me here. I don't know. I think the entrepreneurial part of Under Armour, Under Armour was a new company every 6 months.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. out. I started when there was 400 people, and we were constantly growing like massively fast, and it was awesome. It was such a fun ride. But every couple years, I moved on to the next new strategic initiative. So it was almost like a mini company within this parent umbrella.
Almost like a startup.
Yes.
Every couple years or so.
Yeah. So it was something new. It was always
Yeah.
uncharted territory.
Very cool.
And I would work, hey, Terran, can you work on this? I'm like, I know nothing about IT. Okay, yeah, but you'll figure it out. You're smart. You understand. You'll ask a lot of questions. You're curious. So then I would dive into that. So I kind of think now that was a little bit priming me of different entrepreneurial activities, especially like global expansion team. We were opening new markets around the world. So every country has different rules. Every time we were opening retail or e-commerce or something, it was always different. So it was a new startup every time.
Yes, and so I love the background, because it seems like you were definitely primed to be an entrepreneur, right? You've got this idea, and that kind of born out of necessity almost, right? You're going to travel abroad. You decided to have a staycation in West Virginia, and what you were describing was extremely creative, and put a lot of time and energy into that to make it a great experience for your kids. Now others can experience that same thing.
Yeah.
So I love that. So you started back in 2022 as a company. You left Under Armour.
Yep.
You're here in Morgantown. What would you say is the thing you're most excited about right now for Curated Wonder?
Yeah. Honestly, from the first year, so, 23 last year was my first year, just listening and talking to people at different markets I was going to, it was really intended to be more of a B2C product where I was selling directly online or at these shops for people to use as gifts or for themselves. But what I found super cool was I would talk to people at markets, or people would share with others, and had all these other use cases for it, and more of a B2B mindset. So to actual companies. And I started having companies reach out and say, hey, could we create something that I could use to recruit and to onboard people, especially relocating to the state? So then I started getting different hospitals and organizations that wanted to purchase these and use them to bring people into the state. And then special events. So I've had people who are reaching out, and they're, again, bringing people in for maybe not relocation, but they're coming for a couple days, for a long weekend, for a conference, and they want them to, again, experience the best that West Virginia has to offer. So, hey, could we create something out of that? So that's really what I'm most excited about as I move forward, because I feel like there's an unlock there that I'm just now scratching the surface of different companies, industries, and potentially even beyond West Virginia, because you could replicate this other places.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So if I could ask you for your 30-second pitch,
Yeah.
when you meet somebody, what do you tell them that you do?
I tell them that I curate experiences for others and give you the tools to be able to do it yourself and make memories.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a 10-second pitch, but it's perfect, and I love that. So where are most of your customers? You mentioned West Virginia right now. Is that where they're? Talk a little bit about where your customer base is.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I have everything online, but then I've done different pop-up markets. I'm trying to do different ones around the state, so it's been all across the state, really. And then actual company-wise, they've all been in West Virginia so far, except for this one, which was so interesting. At Des Moines, Iowa, Head Start had reached out and asked if I would create a zoo activity kit for them to do, and they wanted 300 of them, and they wanted to do it for a family event and have it really be a learning and activity kit. Nothing to do with West Virginia, but I said, oh, sure, of course, can do that. When do you need it? So they've now ordered a couple different times, but I'd say obviously most people are in West Virginia, and then I've done a couple really custom types where I just finished one for Croatia for a family that was going and their kids were going for the first time, or one for Italy or Greece. And that is more about, yes, there's a scavenger hunt maybe that ties into the itinerary they have, but also the language, the time zones, the currency, things they're going to learn in the new culture that they'd be going to.
That's amazing. I love it. This is Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
It's in the precision, the attention to detail, and the confidence that create a timeless look. Like Diamond Cuts Barbershop, Freedom Kia of Morgantown is not only committed to timeless design, but also fair pricing, excellent sales, and service with no hidden fees. Right now, current Kia owners save $2,750 on any in-stock 2024 Kia Sorento, wherever it is you're going. Arrive with confidence and arrive in style. Visit Freedom Kia today, right off exit 153 on I-79 in Morgantown.
And we're back, folks. We're visiting with Terran Quinlan. She's the founder of Curated Wonder. Terran, thanks again. Your story is really incredible. Working at Under Armour for 18 years, moving to West Virginia to be with your now husband from St. Albans, and now living in Morgantown and starting this business. I think it's really cool. And can you talk a little bit about the products and some of the things that you're best known for?
Yeah, sure. So what I really started with was a box. So the idea was it was a curated box of activities and things that you do. So I did one that was a country roads box, and it was to explore all across West Virginia and different activities in it. And then I went to go do my first market, and I realized, well, I can't sit at this booth with just a stack of boxes. I need a little bit more here. And it was around the holidays, so I wanted sort of stocking stufferish. So I ended up doing more mini kits. So what I call them, so lower price point items, but people could mix and match. But what I end up doing is kind of a mix. Either I'll come up with something myself, or I will partner with another local artist. So this, for example, I worked with Alicia Rush from Spring Fox Studios, and I said, hey, so many people love cryptids. Well, they either love them or they don't know anything about them. But either way, we can help them. So I wanted to create an activity around them. There's so many cool stickers and things out there, but I wanted an activity. That was the whole point. So I asked her to design a picture with different cryptids, and then I turned it into a puzzle. And then there's explanations about them in the back.
Amazing.
Or this one I partner with Bearwood Company. They're headquartered in Hurricane, but then have shops in Charleston and here in Morgantown. So I did a paint and ornament. So this is an activity, any age can really do this, but I used to pick up ornaments whenever I would travel. So I felt like that was something that people would like to do, and then it created an activity around it. But I get their ornaments so I can highlight another small business.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so the idea is that every activity is something that you're doing, that you're going out to explore. So back to creating those memories, the idea of you're going to have a memory longer than any one thing that you're going to purchase. So so it's supposed to be something interactive, something you're learning.
It kind of reminds me, I think of this a lot. I think today, consumers don't want just a product or a service. They want an experience, right? And that's what you're creating. You're creating an experience, even if it's just a weekend activity, or it could be a 10-day tour through West Virginia. I think that's really cool. And creating those memories, creating the experiences for people is really interesting. And I think, you're starting here in West Virginia, but I could see this expanding into other areas as well. That's super cool.
That's the idea. And I mean, I think, I haven't really quite decided whether, I tackle Baltimore, tackle DC, things that, I know from where I was living, or just, really just try to stay in the close vicinity. But right now I just want to maximize West Virginia and continue celebrating, all the different parts. I mean, there's still parts that I haven't gotten to explore, so I want to keep sharing.
And I think about, have you tapped into the New River Gorge National Park? Have you tapped into that?
So I do have a New River Gorge.
You do? Okay.
Well, I have a New River Gorge scavenger hunt to go around there. That's and that great. One is kind of funny because when I do the scavenger hunts, this one isn't that one. This is a Huntington one. But when I do the scavenger hunts, I end up putting a variety of different things on there. And obviously in that area, it's extra adventurous. So I try to make sure I highlight things for people that maybe aren't as adventurous, or, like public art in the area, or if there's a place to get like a great coffee in the area, then I try to hit all of that.
Super cool.
But yeah, I mean, I think I'm constantly trying to think of new ideas or new collaborations that I can have with other local artists.
So you started this at the end of 2022. What's the most fun, or maybe the wildest experience you've had so far in your business?
Honestly, that zoo kit example was probably the most wild because it was so quick. It was something I had to create and get out the door in about 2 weeks. It was like 300 kits, and I got family and friends. I was like, hey guys, come on over. Here's, pizza for your labor. Come over and pack boxes in my pizza in my garage.
Works,
yeah, for sure. As far as my personal, I mean, I've just like made it a point to go out and see more places than I've been able to see. So, I mean, I have so many favorite spots. I have a lot of people will say, well, where's your favorite spot? And I'm like, I don't know. I have so many, and it just kind of depends what you're in the mood for, obviously, where you're located.
Well, how long have you been here in West Virginia now then?
So I moved here in 2016.
16,
I
okay.
commuted to Baltimore every week up until COVID. And then, but it was nice. It was best of both worlds because I still had my, old world, would walk to work and things like that. But then I would come here on the weekends and get to explore and do things on the weekends and have a different family life.
Yeah. So I'll ask the question that you just asked, rhetorically, but in terms of West Virginia, what are some of your favorite things? Where do you like to go?
Yeah. So I'd say Dolly Sods continues to be top of my list. I still would love to. I go out there in the fall, but I feel like I still haven't seen the peak. So I think that's still on my list there. But Davis and Thomas are always. I really like going there, and I feel like there's always kind of new things popping up there. And when I was in Baltimore, I would go to Harper's Ferry, so I did always enjoy that. And then I like going to Lewisburg. I don't know if that's because of growing up in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, that I just like this other cool small town, but it's a very cool small pretty town. Neat. Yeah, for sure. New River Gorge, of course. But and actually, I've been into Huntington quite a few times lately for different projects and consulting things I've been doing lately. The Ignite West Virginia and Bridging Innovation Conference was down there. You
just did that in April of this year, 2024.
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
It was awesome. Yeah. I won some money, so that was good. So I ended up applying into it, and we had to do a 90-second pitch video, which that was a little nerve-wracking, but my friend Justin was awesome helping me with that. So I put that in, I went through and was a finalist, and it was a great program because they really helped you kind of refine your pitch or really understand your consumer, and do this I-Core class in order to get ready for the pitch. So you had different coaches and things like that helping you through it. And then you gave your pitch, and then I even got feedback from the judges like after the fact, or they would pull me aside and give different feedback or suggestions and things.
Was that helpful?
Yeah, no, it was great. And I mean, I kind of went into it with like, I don't, this money or, it's kind of a win-win for me because I felt like I have a way to talk about my story, share about it, continue learning. So I don't know. It was just a fun experience, whether I was going to win anything or not. So for me, I felt like I won.
Yeah, I love it. That's very cool. We're going to take a quick break and mention our sponsors. We'll be right back.
My name's Caitlin Furby. I'm an interior designer with Remarkable Interiors. Our time is very limited. We're trying to do everything we can possible to keep our clients' projects moving and rolling. So Storymaker has been really great for us for putting out how to explain our company. I can sit and agonize about a post. And is this right? Does this sound good? When I use Storymaker, it sounds so beautiful and it was so easy. And it saves me a lot of time to do the things that I'm really good at.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Get reliable, fiber-powered 500 megabits internet for $39.99 per month with a $100 gift card and price lock guarantee, plus a free modem, free installation, and free Wi-Fi your way. Folks, here at Interaction Media, we're a media company, and we rely on high-speed internet every single day to get our jobs done. That's why we use Breezeline. It's affordable, it's fast, and they're awesome people as well. Learn more at breezeline.com. Folks, we're back. We're visiting with Terran Quinlan. She's the founder of Curated Wonder here in West Virginia. Terran, your story is awesome. I'm very inspired by what you're doing. Right now, in terms of growing Curated Wonder, what's one of the highest level of challenges you're facing?
I mean, I think that I'm a one-woman show. It tends to be it. And, I also... I have a lot of ideas and I get excited and passionate about a lot of different ideas. So really trying to focus myself has been probably a big challenge because I know I could do all of these things, but really trying to focus in. But yeah, when you're one person and you're doing the marketing and you're doing the sales and you're doing the production and you're doing the finances and you're trying to figure out taxes, you're one person figuring that out.
Your products are amazing. Your packaging is beautifully done. You've got these custom, pennants and things. Everything is just amazingly done. So hats off to you for that.
Thank you.
This is like a first-class operation. And so, when I asked that question, I kind of figured that might be the answer, because that is the struggle of the solopreneur, right?
Right.
How do you scale? How do you get things going so where you can hire that first person and then the second, and right? And I've been there myself. This is my 13th year of being in business. It takes a long time. It always takes.
So eventually I'll be able to hire somebody?
But I always say it takes twice as long as you think, and it's twice as expensive as you think. So, and everything in business. Yeah. Most people don't relate to that, but entrepreneurs, we do, right? So, when I think about your vision, what do you see is the vision long-term for Curated Wonder?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would like to have a team of people that I could delegate some of this to and continue. I really like to explore and travel myself, so I want to obviously be able to feed that for me personally. But I'd like to really get it to a point where it's a model that can be replicated, but it can still be authentic and localized. So I haven't quite figured out how that model will work exactly, because obviously I can't be in all those places, but I think it's really more of having a trusted network of people that could help build that. Yeah. But I also like to be a part of all of that. So, figuring that part exactly. But then I think also, like I mentioned earlier on the business side of things, really the growth I see is, if I can find other companies and industries throughout, or if there's a company that has multiple locations, and then I can test it out in different locations and being able to grow that way and having more of that consistency, then that can help give me a better foundation to grow.
I think it's
versus
smart.
Right now I'm creating new every time. So the more that I can replicate some of it, but it's new to them, but for me operationally.
And you hear the word, especially in entrepreneur circles, the word scale. How do you scale? And it's kind of neat from your perspective, being with Under Armour, a global company really, based in Baltimore, being with them 18 years. And I can imagine that you probably sit back and go, no, that's how they grew that thing so fast, or right? Because getting that wheel, that flywheel spinning, is where it takes the work. And once it starts spinning, then you can start really growing. And I think that's where you're onto something here. It's really cool. And I'm very fascinated by your idea and the way you're growing this. And I think that's super cool. So obviously you've been in leadership positions. You're a leader in your family, your community, in business. What do you think is one of the most important attributes of a successful business leader today?
Leading by example.
Yes.
Definitely leading by example, and just having an open door for the people that work for you. I mean, one of my most favorite parts when I was at Under Armour was the mentorship, and whether they were on my team directly or others. But I always like to plant an idea and let them figure things out and then come back. Never kind of really micromanaging folks, but leading by example, showing that I was willing to roll up my sleeves and get dirty with whatever the details were of something, or get in that spreadsheet. Awesome. That if I'm going to ask them to do it, I would be willing to do it myself.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned mentorship with Under Armour. Was that like a formal program, or was it more of an informal type of thing? So
they had a formal program. For me, it was more of an informal that just, if I had different folks that would work for me, and then if they, moved on to a different part of the company, sometimes we would still be meeting for coffee, or they would ask, hey, could we still, stay connected? Or,
that's great.
Hey, I'm looking to apply to a new job, or I'm trying to decide in between this, what is your perspective? And
I think that's so important. I think that's so important. And honestly, I'm going to get on a soapbox a little bit, but because we talked about remote work a little bit, when the pandemic hit and everything, but that's really hard to do through a Zoom call, I think, or an email. I think that's where, grabbing coffee, or, just having a one-to-one sit down face-to-face, that's where some of the best mentoring happens. And I love the idea of having I never had a formal mentor. I've had a lot of informal mentors in my career, but man, I wish I had somebody that I could just meet with on, every the second Tuesday of every month. We're going to meet for an hour. That would have been so cool to do. So,
now I had, there were other female leaders there at Under Armour that I had, that were my mentors that I would meet with consistently, but as far as me mentoring others. But that was also one thing, even when I went into this realm, I didn't have formal mentorship, but I kind of was creating my own personal board of directors
Sure.
of reaching out to people that were already in, startup businesses or had experienced this and kind of could give me advice or, be that support. And that has been some of the biggest help that I've had, because when I've, had a question about something and I'm like, hey, I think that person may have experienced this, I can reach out to them.
Love it.
And they're not on your payroll. They're not, they may not be, in your neighborhood or, right here, but there's somebody that is
Extremely
a call away
valuable.
and be able to
I love
connect
it.
with.
So what are the price points for Curated Wonder? Can you kind of walk us
Yeah.
through some of the just a couple of bullet points?
Yeah. So, the mini kits kind of range from, a $5 cookie cutter with a West Virginia cookie cutter with a recipe to do and make with your family, or all the way up to like a $40 banner, as far as a scavenger hunt around the state. And then a box is like $75 to $100, but there are a variety of these activities in those boxes. Yeah. And then custom wise, it can be it can be all over the place. I've had people that have said like something like that, can I have a recruiting kit? I have $20 to spend. What can you put in, that I could give a little something to people that are coming in? Or someone's like, oh, I really want an elevated VIP gift. I have $125 to spend. What could you create? So the custom ones can be really kind of worked within their budget, but I try to make the mini kits, accessible for different people and different interests like that.
I love it. That's awesome. So, we've covered a lot of ground in this interview, and I'm really grateful for your story. Do you think there's anything else that our folks might want to know about you or Curated Wonder?
I don't think so. I think that, the main thing that I want people to know is that I was talking to somebody about this the other day, how I used to kind of feel like this imposter syndrome because I'm not from here, but yet I'm, talking about all these things to do around here. And someone was like, yeah, but that's your story. That is what you're about. And I kind of thought about it. I'm like, yeah, like I chose to come here and I'm choosing to stay here. Yeah. So I think that that's the important part, that I'm, constantly looking to see what other organizations can I consult or advise or be a part of to help continue to get people to stay here or get people to come here. And so I think that's something that there's a personal purpose that I feel like I
think that's
doing,
great. I always say, because I'm not from West Virginia, but I've been here a long time, I say I'm not from West Virginia, but I got here as quickly as I could.
I like that. I'll have to start using
that. Yeah, you
can
steal that if you want. That's great. Well, as we close out our time, Terran, how can our listeners learn more about Curated Wonder and maybe even get in contact with you?
Yeah, sure. So I have a website, curatedwonder.com, and then I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and then you can contact me on my email, Terran at curatedwonder.com.
Yeah, Terran, it's been awesome to have you here. I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank
I want to
you.
get involved somehow. I
Thank
want to buy some of these things or whatnot.
Send you off on a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to encourage you to keep up the great work. So thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We'd like to thank our partners, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, Interaction Media, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positivelywv.com/sponsor.
Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on the show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. Of course, we appreciate your comments, your suggestions, and your positive reviews along the way, and encouragement too. Thanks for that. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Justin Schofield behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.